Hey you guys, it's Maxine. Thank you so much for watching. So today's video is going to be a color block bang video, but we're going to be doing an opposite type of thing. Like the very front bang, color block bang piece is going to be dark, and the rest of it's going to be blonde, and she likes to go dark underneath also. So yeah, so basically I'm going to be taking like a really big chunk in the front and color filling that and making that dark, and then the rest of the hair I'm going to be doing just a different shade of blonde, and we're doing a bit of a chop. We're going to be chopping off some of these ends, and yeah, this client's roots are grown out a little bit, but she has like this really pretty platinum blonde going on. This is my normal client. We usually switch it up all the time, so today we're doing something really fun and different, and she's been rocking the color block bang for a while now, but you know, this last time I guess we let the color block bang, you know, just be blonde for a while. We weren't doing that, but now she wants the dark in the front, so we're doing the color block bang again. And the dark bang in the front is really fun, and it's you know, unique. It switches it up and stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy watching me do this entire process, and I will give all of my formulas, and I'll, you know, explain exactly what I'm doing the entire time. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, especially if you guys want to see more color tutorials and hair tutorials in the future. I'm definitely going to keep coming out with hair content, and I hope you guys stay tuned for that and like this video if you like it. Follow me on Instagram. It's at Maxine Glynn. I leave everything linked in the description, and I post all of my formulas on my Instagram. So, you know, I do my best to keep up with my Instagram posts. But yeah, if you ever want to see the formula like written out, it's usually posted on my Instagram, and if I don't get to posting it on my Instagram soon enough, then I'll try to post it in the description. But yeah, follow me for that on Instagram, and don't forget to turn on your post notifications so that you're always notified every time I upload a new video. And alright guys, if you want to see me do this color block bang with the dark in the front and color filling the front chunk, then definitely keep watching. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be chopping off the length of my client's hair. We're just doing a really healthy haircut this time. We do skip haircuts a lot, and because she likes it long, she doesn't ever really want it to be cut or trimmed. So we do a lot of skipping of haircuts on this client, but a lot of times also we do dustings. We don't usually do a big chop like this, but today she was ready for a nice big chop, which I'm very glad because she needed it. And it does make the color look better too when you finally do a big chop like this. And she really loved it, and she was rocking it and everything. So usually if I take a couple of inches off, I'll chop it off first, because there's no reason to, you know, color that hair. There's no reason to waste product on the hair that you're going to cut off, and there's no reason to charge your client for product that you're going to just be cutting off and stuff like that, you know. So if it's going to be like more than an inch, like if it's usually an inch, I won't do this first. But if it's a couple of inches, if it's like a decent amount that, you know, you're going to take off in the length, I usually just do like a rough chop first, and I'll check it later. But yeah, so I'm just doing like that rough chop real quick on dry hair before we do any color, and then I'll go mix up for the color. And I also want to mention that on this client, I'm just doing it one length. So I wanted to, you know, keep it one length so that that length line stays as thick as possible, because she does have a decent amount of hair, but each strand is a little bit thinner, which sometimes can make it look thinner on the ends, and we want to keep this looking as thick as possible. So on clients that have hair of this type, I always suggest just keeping it one length, because then the length line itself will stay nice and thick, and, you know, maybe we'll do some angles in the front. But yeah, so I'm keeping it one length. Okay, I have a lot of color bowls mixed up because we're basically doing a lot of different processes on my client at the same time. I have lightener mixed up with Light Master 20 volume, and then I have the Lowlight mixed up with Color Sync 7 neutral and 8 neutral and just a pinch of 10 cg. The neutrals tend to pull really ashy, which is good. We want this to be ashy, but also since we're putting this on like platinum blonde hair, I like added a pinch of 10 copper gold just so that it doesn't turn any green color. That copper will help to make sure that there's no greenish, you know what I mean, coming out. And then she wanted to go pretty dark for the underneath, like almost near black, but I wouldn't want to put black on her hair because it's just going to be way too hard to get out in the future. But I basically I make it dark enough so that it looks black on the hair. So I added Color Sync 3N and 5N, and since we went so dark, I didn't need to do any 10 cg because you're not going to see any greenish tone anyway. So the underneath also was not platinum blonde. So if it was platinum blonde or some kind of a blonde color, I would 100% be adding copper gold into the underneath formula, but you can see the underneath is dark, so we definitely don't need any copper in the underneath. And then for the Colorfill formula, I am doing like the whole front chunk dark. So after I put all these different colors on her hair, I'm going to be doing the Colorfill on her front chunk and letting that process while everything else processes at the exact same time. And the Colorfill formula is Color Sync 1 ounce of 6 copper gold and 1/4 ounce of 4 red brown and 1/2 ounce of clear. And I wanted to make sure that we were going pretty dark for the Colorfill formula and adding a decent amount. So like of the copper gold, the CG is a level 6. That's pretty like much a lot of the copper, because when you go darker with the levels, you get even more copper. So 6 CG has a much stronger orange color than 10 CG, which is like a peach color. So it's like way more translucent in the level 10s versus the level 6. But because we're going so dark in that front chunk, I need to have enough orange, enough copper. And then because we're going into the dark brown in the front, we definitely needed some red thrown in there. So I added 1/4 ounce, which is just like a pinch of 4 RB red brown. Because if you've watched any of my color fill videos, you know that to color fill you need copper, red, and gold in your formula. And then depending on how light or dark you go, you know, like if we weren't going so dark, then we might not need the red brown. We could just do with copper gold. But obviously, since we're going into the dark brown in the very front, we definitely needed red brown. So if you haven't watched any of my color fill videos, I'll link some of them below, but definitely go check a lot of them out. But yeah, so basically all those color bowls mixed up, and I'm starting on the underneath color. I'm working from the bottom up. That way we don't have to worry about color like bleeding on each other and things like that. So I'm going to be applying this underneath color, which is the 3N and 5N, to like the entire underneath. And then I'm going to be placing a foil over the top of that to basically color block that away from this top like blonde section, because I don't want it to touch the brown, you know. So I'm just going to place a foil to protect it after I finish applying this whole underneath. And then I'll start working on the highlights and lowlights and also the color fill. I decided to do the Colorfill first on the very front chunk, so I'm just sectioning out where we want this like thick color block dark brown bang to be, and I'm just doing the Colorfill first. This way it gives it a lot of time to sit on those really white platinum blonde ends, because the very front pieces are even like whiter and more blonde and more platinum than the other hairs towards the back, because we've made this color block in the front before very platinum. So yeah, I'm just gonna let this work its magic. I'm gonna let the Colorfill sit on the front. 20 minutes is usually good, but it's gonna sit on longer because I'm gonna be working on the rest, which is fine. Like if it sits on longer, it's fine. Color sync, I got a question on one of my other videos about them not liking that I left the color on so long while I was working on the foils. I don't mind to do that sometimes, especially when it comes to color sync, because color sync doesn't have any ammonia in the color. So this underneath color, the Lowlight color, and this Colorfill formula are all color sync, which is demi permanent, and it doesn't have any ammonia in it, so it's not harsh on the hair. And even if you do have like So Color, which is with ammonia, a lot of times after it's processed for a certain amount of time, the color stops working. It gets like weak at some point and it stops working. The harshness like goes away. So I feel like you don't really have to worry too much about letting it sit on the hair for a while, unless the client's hair is like fragile or something. Definitely if it's like not in good condition, or if it's kind of just like not that good texture, then you don't want it to sit on the hair that long. But most of the time it's okay if it sits on longer than it's supposed to, because at some point it stops working anyway and it's just like the product sitting on the hair. But this color sync especially, because there's no ammonia, so it's definitely not like harsh at all on your hair. It's, if anything, it's like conditioning. Like it's not a conditioner, obviously it's color, but it's conditioning for the hair. Like it fills the cuticle with pigment. It's only 10 volumes, so it's not like blasting your cuticle open or anything, which is what the ammonia usually does. But yeah, so I don't typically mind like letting certain colors sit on the hair for a while if I'm working on other sections, because it gives me the opportunity to like do a lot of different things at the same time. Like this is so many processes: the underneath, the front, the Colorfill in the front, and then we're doing highlights and lowlights on the top. Can you imagine if I did this all separately, how long it would take? We would be here all day long. Like if I did the underneath first and let that sit in process for 20 minutes, it takes you 20 minutes to apply it, right? So then you apply it 20 minutes and then it sits for 20 minutes and then you wash it and dry it, because you got to shake it dry for the next process. And then I did the Colorfill and then I let that sit on for 20 minutes and then I shake it and dry it and wash it, and then I did the highlights and lowlights, and then, you know what I mean? Like it would be like hours and hours. But doing it this way, how I just kind of mix all of the different processes together, it just gives you the opportunity to be more productive with the client sitting in your chair. So this client will take me like, this process, all these different processes, this probably took me like 3 hours to do total. And that way I have the rest of my day to do more clients, to bring in more production, you know what I mean? So you don't have to separate this. If I was to separate this into all these different services, this would be the only client for the day. And then you would have to charge her like so much money. Her price is already high because we do all these different specialty services on her, so, and we make it really creative every time. So her price is already high, but imagine if she was in here all day long, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, you definitely, of course, want to charge your worth, but you also want to be most productive with your time. And if you can be neat enough and apply these different services into the same exact service without having to separate them all, then you are in a lot of ways better off that way, But yeah, so this color sync in the front and on the underneath, typically you do only want it to sit on for 20 minutes, but we're doing this rest of the process, we're doing all these other processes. So after about 20-30 minutes, it weakens and it stops working anyway. So you might as well just let it sit on the hair, and it's not like doing anything bad, it's just waiting to be washed off at that point. Basically, it's not going to continue to get darker. Some people get worried that it's going to continue to get darker, but in my opinion, it doesn't continue to get darker, because if you formulated correctly, because if you know their hair is porous already and there's a chance for the color to pull darker because their hair is porous, then you already want to like level up a little bit. So if you're already leveling up a little bit because you're being careful of any porous hair and it might be getting darker and stuff like that, or darker than you want, then in that case, like, you still don't really have to worry about it continuing to get darker after it's done processing, because you've already leveled up a little bit, you know? So you don't have to really worry about if this sits on for longer, you know? But anyway, I just wanted to, explain that a little bit further detail. But now I'm just doing slices of highlights, basically. I'm doing like slices of highlights throughout her entire head on the whole upper part. So I'm doing the top crown piece, the top, like the whole top mohawk, and this is just down the sides of the head a bit. And then all of the hair that I'm leaving out in between, I'm low lighting. So this is like a full foil in the sense where I'm not skipping any pieces. So if it's not going in the highlight slice, then it's going in the low light, but there's not going to be any hair left out. So yeah, I'm basically doing like a couple slices in a row and then a couple of low lights like in between. Just, you can use your creative ability, but the low light color was 8 neutral and 7 neutral, so I wanted the low light color to pull in like the light brown dark blonde range. So the low light color itself isn't even that dark, it's just there to like break up the blonde a little bit, to give that little bit of dimension. So you don't have to really, in this case, do too much low lights, just enough to break it up. So I'm mostly just going in here and slicing all of these roots and making it blonde. And then later on, we're going to be glazing this blonde and just making it a little bit darker and stuff. But we're touching up her roots right now and adding low lights. So yeah, I'm just going to repeat the same process on the other side of her head. And then I'm going to go, and the whole top section is going to be like that mohawk section. So I'm just going to let you guys watch this whole process, and I'll be back to tell you what I toned the very top with after all of the highlights got washed off, and then also what I darkened that color block bang with. Okay, so I'm just basing when it's done off of the highlight. So this lightener lightened it all the way up to a pale blonde. So the lightener is completed and she's all ready to be washed out. So that's just what I'm basing it off of. The timing is when the highlights are done. And you can see the low lights. I didn't do them every single piece, every like couple of highlights. I added a low light in there to break it up. And then, yeah, so I'm laying her back in the sink. I'm going to wash this all out and I'll let you guys know the other formulas. But just so you know, I forgot to mention it. I'll write it when I write the formulas out, but I forgot to mention it. Anytime I use Color Sync, I use it with 10 volume. So every single one of these formulas I used with 10 volume, except her highlight formula, which was 20 volume. So I'm just quickly blow drying the very front piece. You see how red it came out? Because we added that little pinch of red brown in the dark brown shade 4RB. It gives it like this cherry cola look, you know. But yeah, so she has all the copper, gold, and red now added in. I dried it, and the Colorfill, the second formula for this, which is just the dark brown ash now, is 3/4 of 4A and a half of 6A. And this is Color Sync also. And yeah, so there's more 4A in this formula than there is 6A, because I really wanted this dark brown to be dark enough. Like, she really wanted this to be like black, basically, you know. And I'm not putting level 1 on her hair because that would be crazy to ever get back to platinum again, you know. But you gotta like go with your discretion. And I know that 3/4 of an ounce of 4A and a half ounce of 6A is super dark, and the fact that it's ash, it's literally going to look black. It's going to be black without actually having to put black on the hair. So, you know, the client doesn't even have to know that, you know what I mean? You can just tell her, yeah, we're going to do black, and you do black and it's fine, you know? But, so this is going to look black. It's going to look very dark in the front, but, and that's exactly what she wanted, so she did love it, thank God. But the ash is gonna, now I wanted just tons of ash in this formula, so the whole formula is ash, because I wanted to cancel, we both wanted to cancel all of the red out, you know. That's just what you want to be as the underlying pigment when it comes to a color fill. You definitely don't really want to be seeing hints of red in the hair and stuff, you know. Most of the time the clients don't want to see hints of red, and especially they want to see ash, you know. But if you're going to have underlying pigment when the sun hits your hair, or, you know, something like that, you'd rather it be a natural underlying pigment like red than freaking green or something, you know. So if you skip the color fill step, you're going to have like this underlying green pigment, and it's just going to look like swampy. It's not going to look good. It's never looking good on the skin tone and things like that. So this color fill is super important. But this formula with the ash and everything is going to cancel all of this red out. It's going to leave her with a super nice dark brown natural black bang, and yeah, it's going to be really nice. And then this next formula, which is just toning all of the blonde, all of the highlight color, this is what this is toning now, and this could go on damp hair. I wanted to keep this as light as possible, and putting it on wet hair is going to help keep it as light as possible because it's diluted. And I added a 1/4 ounce of 10P, which is a pale color, which has like blue violet tones in it, which helps cancel any unwanted warm tones in the orange or yellow stages. And then I did a 1/4 ounce of 10 violet, which just gets rid of yellow. And then 3 ounces of clear basically bumps this up to like a level 11. So I'm not putting a level 10, technically I'm putting a level 11, which will tone it to a level 10. But this is just my way of keeping this as light as possible. And like I said, 10 volume with everything, and adding this onto wet and damp hair is just going to give you way more control. So I can let this sit on for like 10 minutes. I won't have to worry about this getting too dark or anything. But yeah, after about 15 minutes, I think I washed this all off, and now she's ready for the style. And we're going to blow dry this. I always blow dry the very front first because I just love the big reveal, and I like doing this right off the bat. We don't have to wait for the rest of the style. We can just see what it looks like right away, and we absolutely love it. She was really happy with the dark bang, and it's just so much fun to do something fun like this. I love when my client brings me like some crazy, you know, project to do. It's always a lot of fun. And this is the final result. This is how it all came out. It's nice and healthy, super thick on the length, and you can see the highlights and lowlights throughout. It's not platinum anymore, but it's definitely this nice tone with some dimension. It's not like a singular blonde color. I just absolutely love how this came out, especially on this client. She rocks any type of fun style we do. But you see how that low light color just kind of like melts that front color block bang into the rest of this style. So it's not super harsh, but it's at the same time harsh because it's a color block bang, you know. But it just kind of like helps to finish the rest of the story, you know. It's not like super harsh in that way. But yeah, she still has a lot of shine. And you see how dark that front color block bang is? It's like basically black, you know? Like this is with the ring light on it and it's so dark. So, but it just has that fullness to it, that richness to it. It's not like flat, you know? And that's what that color fill gives you. And it's just super important. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this whole process. And I hope you guys get a lot out of me, like explaining in super detail what I'm doing and like what my thought process is, because I just wish these videos were around when I was learning, and I really hope it helps you guys. If you made it to the end of this video, you are a freaking real one and I love you. I want you to put in the comments, like comment down below hairdo crew, because that's really cool to see how many of you guys actually make it to the end of one of these videos. So you are definitely a real one. If you're a part of my hairdo crew, hashtag it in the comments. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, especially if you want to see more color videos in the future. And I'm also pregnant, so I'm gonna be, you know, updating my like life on my channel also, if you guys want to, you know, follow my journey of, you know, the whole, you know, life to come and all the new chapters. Then, you know, subscribe, stick around, like this video if you like these type of color videos, and follow me on Instagram. It's at Maxine Glynn. I'll leave everything linked in the description. And all right, guys, it was so good talking to you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
So give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me break it.